I hope that I'm about to make a lot of dietary styles very happy. I'm in my daughter's kitchen to bake up some tortilla-like flatbread that I can use as a sandwich wrap. I am starting with a homemade baking mix that is gluten-free, low-carb, and low-fat. A lot of low-carb baked goods are high in fat because they're made with almond flour. There's a little bit of almond flour in here, so it wouldn't work for nut-free people unless you substituted ground up sunflower seeds for the ground up for the almond flour. You could go that route. I recently made a video showing what was in this, how to make this, and this is one batch of a baking mix that will stand in for the Trim Healthy Mamas No Carb Easy Bread Mix, the NCEB. This mix recipe was created by Laura Slote, so I can't take any credit for it, but I sure am enjoying using Laura's mix. I will link the video that was me putting this mix together so you can watch that, how easy that was to do. And now I'm going to get on with trying to make this flatbread thing, tortilla thing, and see how this goes. I've set out some things ahead of time. There's the bread mix stuff over here, but I've stacked up 3 baking pans that are lined with parchment paper because once I mix this up with the egg whites and some water, it begins to thicken quickly because it's got psyllium husk in it. This baking mix is high fiber. It's got oat fiber and psyllium husks, so it's really good for your insides. Anyway, I know it's gonna thicken up quickly, and I want everything prepared. Some people have been mixing this bread mix up in a blender or in a bowl with a hand mixer. I'm going to use a whisk because the grandbaby is asleep, and I'm just going to give it a try with a mixing bowl and a whisk. So the mixture again is in this baggie, and it's not even thoroughly mixed. I just dumped the ingredients in the baggie, and that's going to go in this bowl. This is equivalent to 1 bag of the no carb easy bread mix, and I'll go ahead and I'll whisk it just to blend it a little bit. And now I need 1.5 cups of egg whites. Here's my 1 cup and 1/3 cup. And then I need 1 cup of water. So I didn't follow the step of making the egg whites frothy or anything like that. This is about as simple as it could be. Just dump and mix with a whisk. I actually don't want it to get too thick because I want it to pour out thinly on these sheets. So right now it's really, really watery and runny, but I can let it sit a little bit. Keep an eye on it. It's already starting to thicken. And then when I think it's at the thickness that will pour nicely, I'll do that. So let me move these things out of the way and maybe spread out the sheets so I can just quickly pour. And if I happen to have any batter left over, I have a muffin top pan sitting out of the way on the stove over there that maybe I could pour some of this into the muffin top wells and make buns. So this is already thickened up some. I don't want it too thick. Like I said, I want it to pour out thinly because I'm trying to make something equivalent to tortillas or flatbread. Tortilla would even be thinner than a flatbread, and it's thickening. think what I may do is use a ladle. So let me get that off the top of the fridge here. Okay, so it is thickened up some so that I think it will ladle out nicely. And there's the oven letting me know it's up to temperature. So you can't see this one as it ladles out, but let me get a couple of them ladled out. 2, 3. Okay, I don't think I'm going to need the muffin top things. Actually, I'm only going to get 5 out of this. Maybe I will have to spread some of the batter around. Let's get this batter off from here. This is precious stuff to me. And may move some from each one onto a 6 tortilla shape. Let's see if I can manage that with a spoon. Okay, take some off from this one, put it on that one. Some off from this one, put it on that one. Some off from this one, put it on that one. See how these thicken up? Okay, so okay, you can see this. I might need to convert to a wet hand to be able to shape these the way I want. So I'm really glad that I didn't have to start with a thick batter, that it thickens as I go. I better hurry up and get these spread out. Until the longer you wait, the more challenging it's going to be. But I can use wet hands to pat it out uniformly in a few minutes. Just get the initial shapes going here so that it looks nice to me, something appealing that I want to eat. All right, so that loaf of bread, batch that could make a smallish loaf of bread can make me 6 tortilla flatbread things. And I cannot, this is not to my credit, understanding I could do this is not to my credit. This is from KJ York, Joyful Life. You should look her up. YouTube, Facebook, all over the place. She's a very industrious woman making a nice home business for herself. I'm just benefiting from the things she has shared online. Okay, I can get these all evenly spread out. I'm not done by any stretch of the imagination. I'll keep patting and working on these until they meet my satisfaction. But I'll start, I'm going to do the spoon part, and then I'll shift to wet hands if I need to. But right now, the back of the spoon is serving me okay. And I don't think I'll cut off the video. I think I'll let you just keep observing so you can benefit from whatever mistakes I'm making and not make them yourself. But it was definitely not a mistake to just mix it up with a whisk and have it still be very liquidy so I could start to get it out into these shapes. Because the dough I worked with the other day when I made cinnamon rolls out of this dough, I'll link that video since I'm mentioning it. Anything I mention, if I can point you to it, I will do a link in my description box. this one I don't want to have broken spaces, so I may have to pat this one out with my hands, but I'm still working it. Just keep moving things around, moving the batter into place to cover the surface completely. No broken spots, no broken areas. Okay, there's that. Make these edges thinner. I'm really glad that KJ shared this in her video. Her video started out just being about making the bread, or that's what I thought it was going to be, just about. But the end, she shares the idea for the tortilla replacement, which is working for her because it's gluten-free. And I don't know how easy it is to find blood sugar friendly, gluten-free wraps and tortillas out in the marketplace. Okay, that one is almost done, but I've got some broken gapey parts, so I'm gonna keep futzing with it. Get it all evenly spread out. I still have some Slim Sloppy Joe mix that I made here at our daughter's home. And I think that it would be very enjoyable to wrap some of that up in one of these and chomp down on it. If these wraps turn out really good, I think my husband will be happy to have them as an option at home. KJ said they're storing nicely in her fridge, holding well. Okay, almost done here. It's a little bit that escaped, a little drop of it. I'll spread it thinly still. Nice edges. I think of my daughter-in-law too that's gluten-free. Maybe I can make her some of these wraps. There's my clothes that are dry. I mentioned in one of my first videos I did here during this visit at our daughter's home in California. I live in Texas normally. That when I come here, I only bring 3 changes of clothing, and it's identical. All 3 things are identical. And one of them almost never gets unpacked and used, but I cycle through 2 of them. Like the clothing I'm wearing today, tomorrow will end up in the wash, and that's yesterday's clothing that just washed and dried. So 3 changes of clothing keeps me going, and so I don't get bored. It's my jewelry that I change every day. Otherwise, I'm just this black jewelry background. My clothing is my jewelry background. Like the jeweler sets out a piece of black velvet for you to admire his sparkly gems and shiny gold on. Well, I don't have sparkly gems and shiny gold, but I have cheap costume jewelry that I wear that I like. Okay, I'm moving this around so it's a little easier. This will be the last one. And you can see. So you don't have to be as particular about spreading them out as evenly or whatever as I am caught up doing right now, but this is also kind of therapeutic. Just trying to get it right and attractive. I guess I'm using you as my entertainment while I do this. Okay, and the oven went off, so I can begin to bake these right away too. This one's the biggest one. Let me just double check. There's a little spot there that's open, and there. I created an opening. Okay, let's see, a couple of little gaping holes here that I must have missed before. I don't think it's spreading, pulling apart and not holding together. These edges are thick enough I can borrow from. Okay, that one's good, I think. Let's spread this just a little bit thinner. I don't think it's gonna run into each other. All right. Are we done? Are we done? Are we done? The audience wants to know. This is boring. Well, maybe I should have shut it off and just shown you the end result. Okay, I think these are good enough. Let's stick this middle one into the oven down here. I can do one there and one here. And I think I recall that KJ said she did, trying to turn on the oven timer here. I think she said 14 or 15 minutes. So I'm going to do 15 and check them. There, sorry I went off camera. All right. Here are my flatbreads. They had different spots in the oven. This one's the most cooked. This is the softest one. And this is the in-between cook. So I checked them at 12 minutes actually. Maybe 14, I'm not sure. Anyway, there are the flatbreads or the tortillas or whatever I'm going to call them. I'm not sure. It's New Year's Eve day. New Year's Eve day, day of New Year's Eve, whatever. And since I last made the flatbread, I came up with an additional idea that I may be able to use that as a cracker. So I stuck a slice in the air fryer and baked it, dried it on 200 degrees for about 30 minutes. So let's check that. We'll open up the air fryer and see how it is for crispiness. Well, I'd say that's pretty crispy. Yep, I'm going to be able to use it. I'm going to be able to use it as a cracker. Nice. So that can be dipped. I am going to probably have some sardines on it because I want some crunch with those sardines. This is going to work out nicely for me. And next time before I do something like this, I could season it ahead of time if I want with something. Garlic powder, garlic salt, onion, same thing. So these are going to be my crackers. I'm going to mix up these 2 cans of sardines. That'll be 36 grams of protein, and there is protein in this cracker bread too because it was made with a lot of egg whites. So at some point I'm going to mix all this up and I'll show you that later. Here is the sardines mixed up like a tuna fish mixture. I added some 0% fat Greek yogurt and salt and pepper. There's also green onion tops cut up in there for additional nutrition. And for crunch, I used some thinly sliced celery. I also put in some yellow mustard for tang. And then I just mixed and tasted and adjusted the salt, added some more salt to it, I think. And I enjoyed eating my sardine / tuna fish mixture with the crackers. And it made for a really nice start to my meal today. Starting off with a good amount of protein and not using much by the way of fuel, either carbs or fats.